Good morning, everyone. My name is Marcus Davis. I'm a very proud alumni from the class of 2005 of YouthBuild Louisville. And I'm extremely honored today to be here to share my story and the important role YouthBuild has had in shaping the man I am today. I didn't hesitate when I was offered this opportunity, because by sharing my story, it will hopefully educate and inform so many more in this community to stand behind YouthBuild the same way that it has stood up for hundreds of young adults by giving them wings to soar and succeed in life. I was born 38 years ago to a single 19-year-old mother. When I was an infant and toddler, my years were molded in the shadows of my grandparents, who not only both had careers at GE and Philip Morris, but also owned their own small business. There was no shortage of role models when it came to a good work ethic. Any rhythm I had of stability broke when I was a young boy. Addiction was the culprit that changed that. It took hold of both of my parents. It caused my father to be in and out of my life, and it caused my mother and her boyfriend at the time to be unable to hold a job. With no careers, there was no money, and with no money, daily life became nothing more than a struggle to make it to the next day. Things during these years snowballed to the point of us literally moving every single year of my grade school years. It was really hard going to a new school every year, starting from square one, making new friends, trying to fit in. It was something that was difficult for a kid to deal with. But in the end, it was my reality. And it was school that tended to be the good part of my days. It had a routine and teachers who were interested in me. Through all of the inconsistencies of my home life, it was my sister that was my best friend, and we were each other's rock. You had to hold on to a few things that were sure and stable when everything else around was chaotic. Right before middle school, my grandparents and godmother stepped in and gave us a home base in Clarksdale for the next 3 years. I was enrolled at Barrett Traditional Middle School, and it turned out to be just what the doctor ordered. The traditional format allowed me to thrive through a routine, expectations, and goals. I was also blessed to be chosen in the 6th grade to be the recipient of a very generous gentleman named Nick King in his Project Vision program. This was a program that set 6 years of goals and expectations that, if met, were rewarded with a full scholarship to a Kentucky university upon graduation. So this not only inspired me to thrive academically, but also as a byproduct, I thrived in athletics and socially as well. I ended up becoming the school's leading basketball star and was even crowned homecoming king in the 8th grade. All of this was a direct result of getting involved in after-school activities at my local Boys and Girls Club. The more I was involved outside of the home, the less I had to actually be at home. Honestly, it's a story I've heard many times from other YouthBuild alum. When you are trying to avoid being at home, you have two choices: outside activities or hanging out in the streets. During high school is when things really changed for me. My coach at the Boys and Girls Club recommended that I attend Eastern High School because of the good basketball program there. Also, at the same time, my sister chose to go live with our grandparents, and we were separated from the first time. My best friend wasn't there anymore in my daily life. I missed her terribly. I tried Eastern, was enrolled in the honors and advanced programs there. The basketball program was good, but I wasn't the star the way I had been in junior high school, because now I was on the bottom rung as a freshman. This bruised my ego, and my teenage attitude started to soar and deeply affected my relationship with my coach. On top of all of these things, it was a 3-hour bus ride to and from school each day. Those 6 hours weren't a price that I cared to pay anymore. In my junior year, I quit Eastern, moved again, transferred to Butler High School for my junior and senior year. My attitude and maturity level started to spin out of control, and I ended up quitting basketball altogether. Somehow I managed to squeak through my senior year to graduation. It was a rough year all the way around. As a rebellious teen, I still had a challenging home situation I was facing. And I found out that I was going to be a first-time father last summer. In May of 1998, I graduated high school. In June, I turned 18. In July, I became a father. And in August, I was leaving for college to Murray State University. Through it all, I wasn't going to pass up an opportunity for a full scholarship that I had been working on for 6 years with Project Vision. Obviously, my level of maturity didn't keep my head in the game. I was out on my own for the first time, and nothing but fun ended up taking priority at college. I broke all the requirements of my scholarship: partying, selling weed to make money, missing classes, bad grades. I lost my scholarship, moved back to Louisville, got an apartment with my girlfriend at the time. All of my goals that I've been working towards for so many years have pretty much vanished. This was compounded after my girlfriend moved out, and then the roommate after her as well. I had a minimum wage job at a warehouse, and it wasn't enough to pay my rent, child support, and my bills. I was so depressed and desperate. A group of guys I knew said they would move in and help out, but it was the wrong crowd to get involved with, considering the way they made their income was to rob gas stations. As I said, I was desperate and didn't know what else to do. I was only going to drive the getaway car, right? This is how I rationalized it all in my head. The first time, that worked. But the second time we went back, we weren't so lucky. We were caught red-handed by the police. Needless to say, this bad decision changed things drastically for me. I served 6 months in jail, then ended up pleading guilty to the charges and was sentenced to 10 years in prison. Several months later, my ex-girlfriend even gave birth to our second son. Now I'm missing being any kind of good father, or going to college, or having any kind of career, while I sat for years in prison. I was convinced this was the final straw for the fate of my life. My poor decisions had sealed the downward spiral, and I had hit rock bottom with no way of climbing back out. After 3 long, miserable years, I was released on parole for good behavior. I was personally lost, but I felt I also had lost so much time and had no options. Not knowing where else to turn, I swallowed my pride and contacted Nick King, who had tried to help me for many years, and I had just taken that help and blown that opportunity to smithereens. I wasn't contacting him to ask for help, but maybe for some advice. Advice I planned on taking much more seriously this time. He had just heard of a fairly new program at the time called YouthBuild. After researching it, he felt like this just might be the answer for me if I had decided to take the commitment seriously. With no other options in front of me, I decided to check it out right away. On day 1 of walking through the doors of YouthBuild, my hope for life that I wanted for myself was restored when I thought it had been lost forever. This is when I decided that I was not going to let this opportunity slip through my fingers. Very, very quickly, I gained a sense of being surrounded by love from Miss Lynn, Mr. Rob, the rest of the staff, and from all of my classmates. At lightning speed, I was learning a new trade, gaining all the confidence I had lost in those years in prison, and ended up being voted vice president of the class. I responded well to the opportunities I was given, and my leadership skills started to emerge. They insisted me in getting enrolled at JCTC and chose me to represent our class in the YouthBuild Young Leaders Conference in Washington, D.C. that year. It was at that conference that I was encouraged to run for the National Alumni Council, which I did. And much to my surprise, I won. As the theme of today's program suggests, YouthBuild has spent months helping me build my wings, and now was my time to fly. As a member of the Alumni Council, I was given the opportunity to travel all across the country: California, New Orleans, Chicago, experiencing other cultures, meeting new people, and feeling a totally newfound sense of confidence that I had never had before. After graduating, I continued my work with the Alumni Council, and I started a small recording business with a fellow YouthBuild classmate. This is where I discovered my passion for marketing. After falling in love again, this baby bird had finally gained enough confidence to really soar from the nest. So I decided to take the chance on starting over and making something more for myself than the server and sales jobs that I had kept finding myself in. My girlfriend and I moved to Atlanta, Georgia, where my sister had relocated to. I went to school at Georgia State University, majored in marketing, while also gaining experience in the business administration as a marketing specialist in the entertainment and real estate fields in Atlanta over the next several years. I'm thrilled to say that after those years of education and work experience, earlier this year, I finally reached a point with enough support, contacts, and clients to be able to open up my own digital marketing firm called Back to Marketing. What a thrill it was to come back home and share that news with my YouthBuild family. It's hard work, and every day is a challenge. But the reward of living my passion through that hard work, I owe completely to YouthBuild. They believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. They provided me confidence through opportunities over and over until it sunk in. They taught me to be my best self. And by doing that, it will help me understand my future and be successful getting there. They truly gave me wings to soar. I visit Louisville often, trying to rebuild broken relationships with my sons and to visit old friends who were classmates at YouthBuild. I'm also blessed that both my parents are now clean and sober. We have developed a good and loving relationship with one another as adults. But as one does when they live away from their hometown, their first stop is always with family and those who they have fond memories of and molding their lives. And that is why the trip to YouthBuild is always first on my list for my trips home. To walk through those doors of the place that gave me my wings and to wrap them around those that mean so much to me is the highlight of my trips home. I'm so inspired to see this room packed today, supporting these young people who not only need that support, but will respond to it positively, as I did many years ago. We all need to take care of and nurture one another. And this city is so fortunate that YouthBuild is here to do exactly that. And I know I will do everything in my power to make sure that every YouthBuild student and alum has a nest to come back to when they need the support and love to get over a hump in their life. I'd like to thank everyone here so much for your time today and for allowing me to share my true love for YouthBuild and how profoundly this has changed my life and helped me soar. Thank you.
Thank you, Marcus, for that inspiring story.